All right, YouTube viewers, I am sharing a little review on the Nissan Altima 2010 that I've owned since 2010 of February. And we had a little trouble with the vehicle. I'll show you some clips of what I was going through. I replaced the catalytic converter, the one in the front, the one in the back, because it's got two. And want to share you a little bit of we got no engine codes, everything's running fine. And one of the things, I think that if you're having some trouble with your car, like it's your service soon engine light is on, try replacing one of these coils. I have never replaced my coil on this car since I own it brand new. So being that it's 12 years old, the scanner that I ran on the vehicle was reading catalytic converter and cylinder number 2 was out. And if you want to know how do you know which one's cylinder number 1, number 2, starting from the right side of the engine is how it's where it starts. 1, 2, 3, 4, all in a row. So I went ahead and gave it a little bit of a cleanup. But yeah, it's 1, 2, 3, and 4 in a row. And cylinder number 2 was showing that it wasn't working. And I swapped out the cylinder number 2 coil to number 4, and when I ran it again, it was reading number 4 that was out. So that's when I realized it was a coil. I took it to the dealership. I took the vehicle to the dealership, and they told me that the catalytic converter was out and it needed to be replaced, and I was quoted $1,876 and some change to replace the catalytic converter, which you gotta take off this heat shield and replace this catalytic converter that's on here, and then there's another catalytic converter underneath. I think they call it the downstream. I replaced the oxygen sensor, just the one in the front, but not the one in the back, because the one I ordered wasn't the right fit. And I need to clean that up a little bit. And since they quoted me at $1,800, over $1,800 to get the vehicle running, because everything was shaking, everything was completely shaking, like it wasn't breathing. And one of the things I want to tell you is try replacing the simple things before you tear down the vehicle. Replace your coil and replace your spark plugs, see if that'll work. And if it don't work, then you know your catalytic converter is going out. Now, they have been known to go out, but I've had this vehicle for over 12 years and 22, brand new. And this is the first major problem I ever had with the car. And as you can see, over time, the paint kind of fades a little bit, fades here. And this whole roof was faded, this whole hood was faded, and I think it's because my wife took it to the car wash. And that's what happens when you go to the car wash, you mess up the paint job. And here we got here in the back, this whole paint job on the trunk has gone out. Now, I've had it quoted for how much to paint the hood, paint the trunk, and the guy at the body shop quoted me $800, and I'm all like, I'm not doing $800 to paint the trunk. I'm leaving that alone. But I did get the roof. I think the roof was like $300. The hood, I was involved in an accident. A deer jumped in front of me, so I was like, hey, I'm fine with that. Let the deer hit me, I'm fine. We'll get a new hood, new paint job, that's fine. I had the bumper replaced. I hit a raccoon. The raccoon took out this whole piece right here. And I want to let y'all know that if you have a Nissan 2010, I think 11, 12, and I think pretty much any Nissan Altima, they're pretty easy to work on if you live in the South. You live in the South, the bolts are not all rusted out, because if you live up north, the salt hitting underneath the car, all your bolts are going to be hard to remove, and you will need to cut them off. And if you have to replace this, you have to replace the whole exhaust system. But pretty much everything comes with a bolt. The catalytic converter in the front comes with a bolt. The catalytic converter, the second one, comes with a bolt. The exhaust is bolted. The exhaust in the back is bolted. So they're not hard to work on if you got some cousins, some family members, a garage, you know, that you can try to work on. $1,800 was way too much for me to take it to the dealership, because I tell you what was going to happen. I did need to replace my coils. So not only were they going to replace the cap for $1,800, but they would probably charge me another $600 or $700 to replace the coil, which it doesn't take but, you know, 3 bolts to remove this cover, 1 bolt in each coil, pop it out, put it back in, and you're good to go, you know. But for $1,800, I figured, you know what, this whole thing cost me $1,000, because what I did, I put a new upper radiator hose, I put a new thermostat while this whole thing was open. I had it wide open. So I figured, hey, spend a little money, give it a little update, give it a little, you know, tune up. And I did put the new coils. Spark plugs, I already replaced them about 10,000 miles ago. We did do a transmission flush. The last time it was done was 60,000 miles, and now we're at 132. And I like to say that for just spending about $800, we got it up and running. Well, I got it up and running. I ordered the parts, and then I had to wait for me to have some free time to work on it. And but for somebody that's got the time, it's got the money, I ordered a lot of these parts from rockauto.com. And I gotta say, don't go to the dealership, do it yourself. You gotta have a little patience. Some of these bolts you're gonna have to remove this cover, remove this cover. You might have to remove this cover. Do a little research on the torque to put the bolts back on, because you don't want to over torque them. Going underneath is not so bad. There's a plastic cover. Take that cover off. A lot of the covers are having these plastic clips, like this bumper right here in the front. All it is just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and a couple of bolts underneath the bumper, and this whole bumper comes off easily with no problems. So if you have a Nissan 2010 or any Nissan Altima, I highly recommend it that you do it yourself. Find a buddy. If you live in an apartment, find a buddy, a cousin, a family member that's got their own garage. See, they'll let you pull up in the garage and get some ramps, get a jack stands, get a 1-ton jack or 3-ton, 3-ton jack. Get you a 3-ton jack, and the car is pretty easy to work on, no problems. And hopefully you have a friend who has a scanner. But yeah, this car was breathing heavily. It was shaking as hell. But replacing the 2 catalytic converters, I didn't replace the mufflers. I did not replace the muffler that was in the middle, and I did not replace the mufflers in the back. I went ahead and I left it original. Again, this is a 12-year-old vehicle, 132,000 miles on it. I've owned it for over 12 years, since brand new, and this is like the first major breakdown I ever had on this vehicle. And for them to quote me at almost $2,000 to repair the vehicle, I was like, no thanks. This vehicle probably ain't worth but maybe $5,000 or $6,000, and we're not going that far. But for just about $800, I did it myself, and now it's working perfectly. So I just wanted to share a review of the car. I know Scotty He tells you don't buy a Nissan, the transmission, the CVT are shitty. Well, you know, 12 years of running this car, I've had no problems with the transmission. I was following the maintenance book for the first 8 years, but the last 4 years, I've just like, you know what? It's getting old. Just let it run. The master brake cylinder was replaced about 3 years ago. The AC compressor was replaced about 4 years ago. So these two are the master cylinder and the AC compressor was one of the two major problems I had in the first 8 years of owning the vehicle, which is not bad, you know, because the this one was about $860 back then, and the AC was like $1,300, I believe. I think it was like $1,300. I'm not too sure, but hey, when you're in Texas, you gotta have AC. Pretty much, we live for AC when we drive our vehicles. But yeah, I just wanted to show you my review. Let you know that it is easy to work on these Nissan Altimas. I'm not going to show you step by step. There are a lot of videos out there that are really helpful. They'll show you step by step on how to remove the catalytic converters, how to remove the axle. Oh yeah, I replaced the axle on this car on the left side. Here's a tip. If you don't want the transmission to leak out of your axle, lift this car as far up as you can. I mean, raise it up, raise it high to like a 180-degree angle, raise it high, and when you pull that axle out, you'll never leak any transmission and don't have to worry about if you're short or you got too much, because that's another thing. If you have too little transmission fluid, it's gonna act up. If you got too much, it's gonna act up. If you don't have enough coolant, your transmission's gonna act up. So that's why I have my transmission service about every 60,000 miles. And it's been a great car. I paid it off in about 4 years. So I have 8 years of no car payments, so I got my money back. Like I said, I did put in a little extra money in it. Not bad compared to what Nissan wanted. Nissan wanted almost $2 grand, and they probably would have got me over $2 grand for the coils. So, and but yeah, the reason why I took it to the dealership because I want to know what was going on, and that's what they told me. It was a catalytic converter. Now, my thing is, here's my thing. Was it really the catalytic converter? Was it really going out? Were they just trying to steal money from me? Steal my hard-earned money? I think that's what it was. I think it was just a simple coil and spark plugs. Well, on my car it was a coil. But do that first. Replace the coil, and if you haven't replaced your spark plugs in a long time, do that before you get to the catalytic converter. Start with something simple and then work your way, you know, to the hard part. So I'm Daniel. My review of the 2010 Nissan Altima. Easy to work on. You know, if you need a little help, all the information is on YouTube. All the videos that I've seen on YouTube to work on this car has been really helpful, and I'm glad that YouTube is around to pass on information that can help you save thousands and thousands of dollars on repairing your vehicle. And it's breathing, it's running. I did the work myself with a little bit of help from my neighbor, which he used his scanner to determine what was going on, and he did tell me that the cylinder 2 was misfiring and it was a coil, and that's what we did. So I hope the video is helpful. I hope that, you know, if you have issues on your car, you can look it up on YouTube and save you thousands of dollars. Keep that hard-earned money in your pocket. So I'm Daniel, and thank you for watching. Hopefully this channel, or hopefully this video was helpful. Thank you. Comes on a little bit.
It's
still shaking.
That's not supposed to. I know what's wrong with it. It ain't got no gas in it.
The only thing I can probably see is that maybe the mufflers need to be replaced, but it's like it's having a hard time breathing. The whole car, the whole engine is shaking, like it was having trouble breathing. I don't know. I'll have it sent to the dealership, have it looked at one more time, and then after that, I think that'll be it for this old car. Time to put it up for sale. Alright, our third attempt after installing the new catalytic converter. If you notice, it doesn't have a heat shield around it. We'll have to get to that later. Unable to install these heat shields. I'll have to do it later. Let's give it a shot. And looks like it's successful. We did it. We did it. We moved the catalytic converter, the second one, not from the front, but this is from the back. Give it a quick test. See if it'll run without it. Here is a special message to everyone who owns a vehicle, which pretty much is everyone. Replace your oxygen sensors, O2 sensors, if your vehicle is over 75,000 miles, or you will find yourself in this type of mess at some time over 100,000 miles. Now, I am doing this myself, but I have a feeling had I replaced the O2 sensor, I might have saved me a whole lot of trouble. And I wouldn't have to be replacing this catalytic converter. A simple O2 sensor and will extend the life of the catalytic converter. This is coming off. I don't know if you can see inside, but it is pretty much plugged up. There's no more air. It can't breathe. So I'm just giving that a shout out, and this is the O2 sensor that was in the front. I'm not too sure if I'm right, but this indicates that the gasket for the valve cover is a little worn out, which it is a little worn out because there is a little bit of leak, but that's a little indication that your gasket on your valve cover is worn out and needs to be replaced, which I won't be replacing, but I just want to give a shout out and say replace your O2 sensors if your vehicle is over 75,000 miles. Spend a few $100, get it done, and you will not have to run into this mess of replacing a catalytic converter. The catalytic converter at the dealership wanted $1,800 for their labor and parts. So do yourself a favor and get a new O2 sensor.